Imagine this. You stumble upon extraordinary treasures, possibly worth millions of dollars, purely by chance. These unique riches emerge in the most unexpected corners, at the most unforeseen moments. Consider the fact that archaeologists and explorers are constantly on the hunt for such hidden wealth. In the video adventure we're about to share with you, we'll take a careful look at 9 enchanting treasures unearthed from abandoned locations. Are you ready to embark on this discovery with us? Fortune with blankets. Lauren Kritzer, a resident of California, discovered a family heirloom that surpassed her wildest dreams. Lauren endured an unfortunate traffic accident in 2007, which sadly led to the loss of her leg. She was surviving on a mere $200 disability allowance each month. However, fate took a turn when she came across a blanket at an antique roadshow event. The blanket she saw was valued at $500,000, which reminded her of a similar blanket in her own cupboard. This blanket in her cupboard was a keepsake from her grandmother, a Navajo blanket dating back to the 1800s and was used during the birth of kittens. She took the blanket from her cupboard, explained the situation to her mother, and unveiled her swift plan to earn money. Who could have predicted that such an ordinary-looking blanket could hold such value? Her mother believed that no one would even pay $10 for it. Yet surprisingly, 6 months later, this blanket sold for a whopping $1.5 million at an auction in California. $1,500,000. Congratulations, sir. For Lauren, this auction provided an opportunity to make a fresh start in life. She invested part of her winnings in stocks and bonds. She bought a car and 2 houses, and this large sum ensured she could lead a comfortable life for a considerable period. Ancient Mayan artifacts. In New York, a cleaner named Nick DeMola stumbled upon an unexpected treasure while cleaning a space used both as a home and studio. DeMola's Ridgewood Cleaning Company was commissioned to tidy up a New York apartment that once belonged to an artist named Clinton Hill. Hill had left all his possessions to his long-term partner. Unfortunately, this partner passed away just a few months after Hill's demise. The couple's relatives planned to set up a non-profit foundation to generate income from the valuable items found in the studio. DeMola was to be paid an estimated $4,500 to clean Hill's estate. While collecting items from the apartment, DeMola came across an old barrel. DeMola had this old barrel transported to his truck, and then he took it to a storage facility where it would sit for about 5 years. Unknowingly, hidden inside the barrel were antique clay sculptures and other artworks thought to be nearly 2,000 years old. One day, DeMola decided to investigate what was inside the barrel and took some of the discovered pieces to an antique art expert for evaluation. The subsequent examinations revealed that these artifacts were worth thousands of dollars. In fact, some of the artifacts traced back to the Mayan civilization in Mexico. Pottery was not a subject that particularly interested DeMola, and he contemplated returning the pieces where he found them. However, upon further consideration, he decided it would be a better idea to sell these artifacts or display them in a museum for people to see. 1956. Ford Thunderbird. Classic or vintage cars are valuable due to their rarity and uniqueness. In Michigan, a family who chose to remain anonymous discovered an untouched car collection that had been dormant for approximately 30 years. This collection, consisting of 28 Thunderbird model cars, left the family in awe. Each of these vehicles was worth more than $27,000. The cars were later put up for auction in 2016, with a total sale price of $300,000. Auction experts met with the family at a restaurant and were later escorted by them to the property where these cars were stored. The collection hosted various vintage models, including a 1932 Ford Model B and a 1987 Chevy Silverado pickup truck. The entire collection was sold for a price exceeding $37,000. According to Scott Medema, the CEO of Repacast.com, the location where these cars were discovered resembled a reality television show set due to the rarity of many of these cars. These vehicles were later moved to a gallery in Wayland, where they were put up for auction. A 1956 Ford Thunderbird found in the collection, which had been retired to the backyard after an accident, sold for over $5,000. This car may have once belonged to a Hollywood celebrity. The car has now been completely restored and is back on the road. When these cars, unused for over 30 years, were sold, The family made an income of over $500,000. Artworks worth millions of dollars. Abstract expressionist artist Francis Hines, who lived in Connecticut, left behind a large art collection in his barn, which he used as his studio when he passed away in 2016. However, the existence of the collection was not discovered for a year. A year later, a mechanic named Jared Whipple from Connecticut found the collection. When Whipple found the works, he was considering using them as Halloween decorations because they seemed like trash to him. But Whipple was unaware that these works were created by the famous artist Francis Hines and were worth millions of dollars. Upon examining the collection, he noticed that the full name of Francis Matson Hines was written on a canvas dated 1961. This finding led Whipple to conduct a more extensive research on the artist and consequently to get in touch with the deceased artist's family. After understanding the value of the works, Whipple obtained permission from the family to preserve the artworks. This collection was wrapped with a synthetic fabric of 730,000 meters. Hines's former art broker, Muldoon Elgar, now retired and living in San Francisco, introduced Whipple to other artists. Among these acquaintances was art historian Peter Hastings Falk. Falk pointed out that this wrapping technique used by Hines was a method popularized by Christo and Jean-Claude. Although the exact number of works that Whipple rescued is unclear, sources in the art world suggest that he preserved some of them. According to ArtNet, each of these paintings could be worth between $12,000 and $20,000, while each drawing could be sold for $4,500. The total value of this entire collection reached millions of dollars. At the end of this adventure, Whipple had decided to etch Hines's name in gold letters into the history of art. Comics in the basement. When Michael Rohrer was cleaning his late aunt's house in Virginia, he discovered a treasure lurking in the depths of a basement, a comic book collection. This collection belonged to his Uncle Billy, who unfortunately had never mentioned the existence of this collection until his death at the age of 66 in 1994. 345 comic books and novels were neatly stacked in the basement cupboard. This collection included a full 44 of the top 100 works on the Golden Age of Comic Books price list published by Overstreet. The Golden Age of comic books refers to the period from the late 1930s to the late 1940s. This period represents the most productive and valuable times in the comic book industry. The collection included valuable works like the second issue of Captain America and important comic books like the 27th issue of Detective Comics. When he researched the value of the collection, Rohrer discovered that his uncle had purchased some of the most valuable works in the comic book world. The most important comic books in the collection were published between 1938 and 1941. This showed that even as a child, Billy had an extraordinary taste. When these incredibly rare works were auctioned off in New York in 2012, they sold for a total of $5 million. For example, the 27th issue of Detective Comics, which introduced Batman, found a buyer for $523,000. The first issue of Action Comics from 1938, which introduced Superman, sold for $299,000, and the first issue of Batman from 1940 sold for $275,000. These works were truly priceless treasures that had been hidden in a basement closet all this time. Środa treasure. In 1988, a construction worker in the town of Środa Śląska, Poland, who made an unexpected discovery, found a unique treasure that shed light on the stage of history. At first, the worker thought the metal object he encountered was just a few ordinary milk bottle caps. However, this metal object was hiding a treasure that was 1,000 years old. When the worker turned the metal object with his shovel, he opened the door to a chest filled with gold and silver coins and precious jewels. This treasure included a series of gold coins, silver coins, and a gold crown dating back to the 14th century, with an estimated value of $6. 9 million. More than 4,000 gold coins were minted in Prague and other places. The emergence of this unique treasure led the local people into a gold hunt. People tried to take every piece they got, However, the police immediately took action to protect this valuable treasure and searched every house in the area thoroughly. As a result of these searches, more coins were found. The Polish government made a purchase offer to the people who found the treasure and also appointed an archaeologist to determine the origin of the coins. More pieces were found. Valuable items such as brooches and necklace pendants were discovered in addition to gold coins. However, the gold crown, the most valuable piece of the treasure, helped historians date this treasure back to the 1340s. This treasure actually belonged to Charles IV, Emperor of the Luxembourg dynasty, who left a series of his belongings as a pawn. These items were left with a Jewish banker in Sirota. However, after the plague, the banker's trail was lost. This treasure, which had been hidden for hundreds of years, finally emerged again. Although this story seems fantastic and illogical, it is indeed a real event. A Bronze Age sword? Do you see this rusty-looking sword? Many people may just evaluate it by its appearance at first glance and see it as a worthless object. However, this sword belongs to a period between 600 and 800 BC and was found by a farmer in 1965 while fishing on a riverbank in Northern Ireland. When he first found the sword, the farmer could not find any distinct markings on it and tossed it into an old toolbox in a shack on his farm. This ancient sword was forgotten in this box for a full 50 years. By the time 2017 came around, the farmer had begun to take a more active role in the war, Brick and Bridges project with his brother Maurice. This project aimed to investigate the exact location of the battle that took place in the Arny River in 1594. While trying to determine the exact location of this battle, the farmer remembered the rusty sword he once found and forgot and took it back from the shack. As a result of the examination made by experts, this rusty sword turned out to be a priceless artifact that is 2,600 years old. According to an archaeologist, such an artifact remaining from the Bronze Age usually emerges once every 25 years. The farmer believed that his own discovery was of great importance for the local people. In addition, the fact that the production of such artifacts was difficult and could stand for hundreds of years made this finding even more valuable. It is thought that this rare sword found belonged to a warrior and was intentionally broken before being thrown into the river. This valuable sword was moved to a local museum to be displayed for the public to see. Rare coin from the 1930s. A woman who works for a cleaning company found a rare Australian coin from the 1930s under the carpets of a house she was cleaning. The woman in the cleaning team noticed this rusty and old coin and some pieces of newspaper from the 1930s while organizing the hoarder homeowner's house. The woman stated in a video she shared on TikTok that she did research on the coin she found and that the coin could be worth approximately $40,000. According to an article in Yahoo News, a coin from the 1930s sold for more than $59,000 at an auction in 2022. Furthermore, in 2019, another extremely rare coin from the 1930s was sold for $1. 15 million. The woman received many comments from viewers of her videos. While many people accused the woman of keeping the coin she found for herself, the woman stated that she returned what they found to the homeowner. The woman emphasized that since the coin she found was in someone else's house, it was not a situation of finders keepers. These coins are said to be rare in Australia because only about 1,500 of these types of coins were released in 1930 at the onset of the Great Depression. The coin features a portrait of King George V, the grandfather of Queen Elizabeth II. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation, ABC, noted that among all existing Australian coins, these copper pennies have the lowest minting number and are actually coins that should not be in the market. In fact, these 1,500 coins were released in 1931 to increase the amount of money in circulation. These coins were gradually removed from circulation in the 1960s, and at this point, collectors realized that the penny produced in 1930 was rare.